Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we are going to do a WIP and chat of sorts. So WIP stands for work in progress, and this is a video where we just pull out our work in progress projects and work on them and just have a little chat. This is a WIP and chat, but I have something very specific in mind to talk about. Today I wanted to do a video discussing more in detail about why I diamond paint and the benefits that I have found in diamond painting. So I did start to explain the reason that I like diamond painting and the reason that I was continuing to diamond paint in my very first video that I ever did on this channel. But I wanted to expand on it and discuss more in detail the reasons why diamond painting is so important to me. And I honestly hope that my story maybe could help other people. Some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about does relate to a medical condition. And so right up front, I just want to say that I am obviously not a doctor or a professional when it comes to what I am about to discuss. This is my own personal experience and what I found works for me. So just take it with a grain of salt. Okay, that being said, let's talk about what we're working on. This painting right here is a Diamond Art Club, or DAC, diamond painting. And it is called Watching Santa Go, and it is by Marcelo Corti. He's the original artist. So it is a licensed artwork by Diamond Art Club. I will link down below where this can be purchased if anybody is interested. And since my last Diamond Art Club unboxing, I did become an affiliate, so I will have an affiliate link down below. I previously was not an affiliate for them. So, okay, the other things that I'm using today are, I'm so excited about this, my new tray from NYX's Notions. And I'm loving these trays. Hopefully you can see this. I know we're very zoomed in. This is the Miami Teal square tray, and I'm loving these. I am using some scented putty that I made myself. This is just some white putty with candy cane scent in it, and it smells amazing. And I find that it really works for me. I have my Amazon pen here. It's a Christmas one, and I don't know if you can see, but there's little snowmen and snowflakes and Christmas trees in here. So I got this from Amazon. I can link all of this stuff below, except for the things I made. This is a pen that I made. I just have a 3-placer on it that looks very gunky and gross. I'm going to have to change out the putty on that. This is one I made with polymer clay. And then what I'm really excited about is I am learning how to make my own release paper. And so this is the first set that I have made. And it actually turned out somehow, which like is shocking to me because the first time I try to make anything, I feel like is a failure, of course, because you're not going to be perfect at something the first time. And this wasn't perfect, but I'm just surprised how it turned out. So on the printed side, we have a cute Christmas pattern with lots of Christmas trees and gingerbread men and Santa Claus and ornaments. The other side is silicone coated. So the silicone side is not going to stick to my canvas and acts as release paper. This top side is not coated, and so the printed side, if I was to put it down on the sticky part, I think potentially could ruin my painting. So I just want to be careful that I have the printed side up. But it's really cute. So I have you zoomed in here. I'm hoping that you can see okay what I'm doing. And I'm going to start working away. And as I'm working, I'm going to talk. Oh, and I also have this cute little cover reminder that I made. It is just a little jar with a fox on it. I just put this together. I have a bunch of these little charms from jewelry making and some jars that I had previously for bead storage. And so I put a magnet in here and a magnet underneath my canvas so that it doesn't move around. But I just use this as like a little trash can for drills. You know, when you get those drills that can't be used on the canvas. So, okay. Oh, and I am using my ARTDOT containers here that I love so much. These are absolutely my favorite. I just have the stickers on top to let me know which ones are which, and I'll link those down below as well. Those are my absolute favorite storage right now. So, okay, let's get started. So we're going to start with the symbol C, which is this really pretty blue color here. So, okay, well, where do we start with diamond painting? I explained before in my previous video, my very first video on the channel, that I actually found diamond painting back in 2018. And I have always been a crafty person and kind of a craft hopper. Like, I hop back and forth between different crafts and I love them all. I don't really necessarily have one that is my favorite over others, although diamond painting, I guess if I had to pick, diamond painting is my favorite now. But I love crochet. I love jewelry making. I love everything. I've even dabbled in, you know, like soap making, candle making, you name it. I have tried it because I just really like, I think my putty is like too strong in here. Come on. Okay, there we go. I just really like making things. My favorite is to make things that can actually be used. So, you know, making a picture that you can actually hang up, making a piece of jewelry that you can actually wear, making a scarf that will actually keep you warm in the winter. Those are the things that really bring me joy. What is going on? I feel like this is not sticky right here. Am I crazy? There we go, we got it. Okay, geez. So yes, so I've always loved crafts, and especially crafts that are somewhat useful and have a purpose. And I think before I knew it, or before I could understand, making things and crafting has always been a way for me to, I think I've always been attracted to it because it helped with my anxiety, because I've always been an anxious person. However, I don't think I realized that until maybe very recently. And so I didn't always have the best coping mechanisms, because while I liked to craft and I liked to make things, at that time, and I'm talking about when I was a teen and in my 20s, at that time I did not have the best coping mechanisms, and I didn't realize how bad my anxiety was. I was just like white knuckling it through life, or trying to, and was not coping very well. So I have always been a crafter, always been very interested in different crafts. And so in 2018, I discovered diamond painting, and I was like, oh, I would like to try that. And back then, I don't know, I guess I'm not really sure. I don't know. It didn't seem like there were very many kits available back then, or diamond painting companies. And so I And actually, I think I tried at that time to order something online, and it might have even been from Diamond Art Club, but they were sold out of anything that I wanted to order at that time. And so one day I went to Hobby Lobby and they just had a little end cap. And I picked up a small painting because I wasn't sure if I would like it. It ended up being a partial, which I didn't understand that there was going to be partials and then full drill fields. And so when I got home, I was a little bit disappointed. I was like, oh, I was disappointed. I was like, oh, I didn't think this was going to be partial like this. And well, anyway, I'll have to dig through my stuff and see if I can find that very first diamond painting. It was, I know what it was. It was a picture of a rose. And so it was like all pink diamonds. There wasn't a lot of colors in it. It was a beginner set. And so I did that one. I completed it and I liked it. I enjoyed doing it. But at that time, my life was kind of in flux. I switched jobs. We got married and we bought a house shortly thereafter. And I just didn't have a lot of time for crafting and wasn't doing any crafts at that time. So kind of put the diamond painting away, didn't think about it again. And then my life was really busy with moving, starting my new job, and just a lot of stuff like that. And so I really wasn't crafting anything in like 2019. Then 2020 came along, and we all know what happened during 2020. I already worked from home in 2020, and so my job was not disrupted, thankfully. I mean, I was very blessed for that. My job was not disrupted. I got to continue to work from home, and so that was fine, but my anxiety so I would say from 2015 to 2020, my anxiety was really under control. And I was not taking a medication or anything like that. It was just under control with lifestyle. I had a good, stable job. I was just practicing all the things like good sleep hygiene. I was eating right. I was exercising, outdoor time, all of that stuff, positive thinking, just really employing a lot of the things that I had learned in therapy and things like that. And so my anxiety was really under control. What should we do next? Let's do the arrow. So things were really under control for like those 5 years. And then in 2020, when all the craziness happened, my anxiety started to creep back up on me. And I had my first panic attack in 5 years, because I would have panic attacks all the time, like prior to 2015. Then they kind of went away because I was under control with my anxiety. And then 2020, I started having panic attacks again. And I was a nervous wreck. Although my job was not disrupted, I was very scared that it could be. So I was anxious about my job. I was anxious about my husband's job. I think everybody was anxious about their job. There was so much uncertainty. And it really got to me, and I really started just a lot of negative thinking and being very just like gloom and doom, like, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end, that type of thing. My world's coming to an end. And it was really scary, and all of that negative emotion took over. And so I started, I started spiraling. I guess this is what I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's funny, I started spiraling, and I went through a really hard time. And again, while I was going through it, I think I was like white knuckling, like trying to like bully my way through it, you know what I mean? Like, not admitting that I was having a problem with it, but just trying to white knuckle through it and just completely forgetting all of my coping mechanisms and all of the things I was supposed to be doing. So not sleeping well, not eating well, not exercising, not doing stress relief like I should be. And so my anxiety got out of control to the point that it was really interfering in my day-to-day life. It was interfering in my relationships with other people. But there's also another side to that. So I started diamond painting again, and it was very helpful to kind of do the stress relief thing. But in 2021, I started getting really sick. It was really weird. It was in May, end of May, beginning of June. I started getting really sick, and the first time I noticed it was actually my husband said something. So we were working in the yard, and I bent down to pick something up, and I got really dizzy and almost fell over. And my husband was like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Do you need to sit down?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me sit down. Maybe I'm dehydrated," because it kind of felt like, so there's this thing called orthostatic hypotension. It's where your blood pressure drops when you change positions quickly. I thought maybe, and that happens with dehydration. And so I thought maybe it was that. And I was like, "Yeah, let me sit down. I'm going to drink some water, get some fluids in me. I think I'm just dehydrated." Well, then it kept happening over and over again. And it would mostly happen when I changed positions. And then I started getting dizzy even when I was not moving. And then it just turned into like just constant weird sensations in my head. And I really do not know how else to explain it to you other than I just had these really disturbing sensations in my head, particularly when I would turn my head right. So, for example, I work on dual monitors. When I would move my line of sight from the left monitor to the right monitor, I would get this dizzy, like sense of imbalance, almost like being on a ship that is rocking on the waves, like that kind of feeling. And I wasn't really getting sick to my stomach. I was not getting headaches, really. I just wasn't feeling good. I was tired. I was very irritable. People commented that, like, I didn't seem like myself. If you watch my videos, I tend to be, like, very upbeat and happy. I laugh a lot. You know, I'm very, like, giggly and happy. People were commenting that I just didn't seem like myself. I was just very irritable and just not the regular me. So this went on for a couple weeks, and finally I went to go see the doctor, and you know, I wasn't sure what it could be, although I kind of thought, because I am a nurse, you know, I had kind of some suspicions of what I thought it could be. I kind of thought that it could be something wrong with my ears, like throwing off my balance, because you know your inner ear is part of your sense of balance. And I thought maybe I had a thing called benign, I always forget the order of the words, benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, something like that. It's called BPPV. I thought maybe that's what I had, since the dizziness was coming when I was changing positions, right? And so I went to the doctor. They did a test called an Epley maneuver, which is supposed to, it can show if you do have this thing or this vertigo thing, you know. And also my mom has a lot of trouble with vertigo. So I thought, you know, not necessarily that it's hereditary or anything like that, but I just kind of thought it's this vertigo thing. So I went to the doctor, they did this test, the test was positive, they diagnosed me with that, and she also looked, actually I went to 2 doctors. I first went to the immediate care and saw a nurse practitioner, and then I went to my own family doctor. And the nurse practitioner thought it was fluid behind my ear, and I had been swimming and stuff, so they gave me stuff to like treat that. And then my family doctor is the one that diagnosed me with the vertigo. And so they gave me meclizine, which is a medication that treats vertigo. And then they sent me to physical therapy because they can actually do something called vestibular rehab for this condition that is supposed to help. And so I took the medicine. The medicine did not help. The only thing the medicine did was make me sleepy, so I stopped taking it because I need to be able to work and be, you know, alert to work. So I was like, yeah, I'm not taking this. And I told my doctor that. I didn't just stop the medicine, of course, but I told her this is not working. It's giving me side effects. I don't want to take it. And she was like, yep, cool. So then, so then I went to physical therapy though. And actually the physical therapy helped me, and it was getting better, and I was able to cope more. And they really harped on me though. They were like, you need to take more breaks at work. You need to decrease your stress. You need to exercise more. And you need to stop staring at screens so much, because this all seems to be kind of triggering it more. And the weird thing was that when I went to vestibular rehab, they did this test on my eyes. And sorry for using all these medical terms, but they found in my eye that I had a nystagmus, which is where your eyes bounce back and forth when they're not supposed to. So that was weird, and they really weren't quite sure, but you know, they sent, oh, I got a blue one on there. They sent those results to my doctor and everything, and they didn't think too much of it. But while I was going to the physical therapy, my issues with my head were getting better. However, issues with my vision were getting worse, and I was having a really hard time getting my eyes to work together. It felt like my right eye and my left eye were not communicating together correctly, and I don't know how else to explain it. That is what it felt like. And they would do like these vision tests on me, and they could tell my eyes were not, I think they call it convergence, like they were not working together and they were not accommodating properly. And so they sent me to an eye doctor. And I went to the eye doctor. Oh, by the way, in between all of this, I also went to a neurologist. I had an MRI of my head. I had an EEG. I was terrified that perhaps, you know, your mind goes to like the darkest place. You think maybe I have a brain tumor, because what else could explain all of this? Thankfully, my MRI was negative. My EEG was completely normal. I had several different tests, you know, all of those things were normal. The neurologist was like, these things can just kind of happen for no reason, and we don't know why. It's idiopathic. Idiopathic means they don't know why it happens or what causes it, you know. So, anyway, so they sent me to an eye doctor, and the eye doctor did imaging and found that I had edema around the ocular nerve in my eye. And they call that papilledema. And it actually can be a medical emergency when they find that. And so she set up, she was an optometrist that found this, and then she sent me to a neuro-ophthalmologist, who is somebody that works with, who is an ophthalmologist but specializes in neuro issues with the eyes, neurological issues. So I went to that doctor, and they did, and this was like an emergency, so it was on a Friday night. These people were so wonderful. They stayed over. I remember asking the tech in the office, what time do you guys close? And she's like, whenever we're done here. And I was like, oh, okay. So they stayed open extra late for me, which amazing people. They were really, really nice about it too. They never made me feel like I was a burden. It was great. So anyway, I had all these tests done, and she comes in, the neuro-ophthalmologist, and she tells me that she thinks I have something called, so there's two different names for it. The first name is very scary sounding, but it's not as scary as it sounds. So they used to call it pseudotumorcerebri, which it sounds scary because it has the word tumor in it, but it's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
The actual name that they call it now is idiopathic intracranial hypertension. So what it is you have too much pressure in your spinal fluid, and it causes symptoms that are similar to a brain tumor, but there is no brain tumor there. And that's why they call it a pseudotumor, right? So I had to have a spinal tap. Long story short, I had to have a lumbar puncture or spinal tap. Which, not the worst thing I've ever had done in the world, but also not the greatest. It was not pleasant. So they did that. They tested the pressure of my spinal fluid, and they're like, yep, it's elevated. And they also drained off some of the spinal fluid to decrease the pressure. It was not a nice experience. You have to lay there and wait for them to do that. Not fun. Also, after that, I had a spinal headache for about 5 days where I could not get out of bed because I don't know if I had a spinal fluid leak or if they just took that much fluid off that it caused the headache. But if you've ever had a spinal headache, like if you've ever had a lumbar, not a lumbar puncture, if you've ever had like an epidural or anything like that, you can get a spinal fluid leak from it, and it gives you a really bad headache, and you have to lay flat. It's the only way that the headache goes away. So I was basically incapacitated for 5 days, and it was also over my Christmas break. So I completely ruined Christmas because I was in bed and it sucked. My poor husband had to make all the Christmas food, and he did amazing though. He made it so special. He made waffles for Christmas breakfast, and he got a couple little stocking stuffers for me to open, to cheer me up, which we don't usually buy presents for each other, so that was really cute that he did that. He would light a fire and let me lie on the couch, and he would let me watch Pirates of the Caribbean, even though we've watched that 20 million times and he's sick of it because it's one of my favorite movies to watch at Christmas time. And he was so sweet. He took care of me the whole time. But anyway, so while I was bedridden, essentially essentially this stupid spinal headache, I watched a ton of diamond painting channels, and also TikTok, people on TikTok. And there's one lady, I wish I could find her now because I cannot remember her name, but she was on TikTok, and she would do every single day live streams of her diamond painting. And I don't know why, but I lost her account. I'm not sure what her name was now. But every day she would do live streams of her diamond painting, and she was working on that picture from DAC that's the 3 gnomes for Christmas. And I just really loved her lives because her voice was so calming. She was so sweet. She was so nice to her audience. And she talked a lot about how diamond painting helped with her anxiety. And I think, you know, she just talked about like stuff in her life and like how diamond painting was really helping her. And that is what inspired me to want to finally do a channel. Now, this was last year, so this was a year ago that this happened, and I did not start my channel until October of this year, 2022, mainly because I'm shy and I was like scared to do it. But this lady is one of the people that that inspired me to do it, and I wish that I could find her TikTok again. If I can find it, I'll link it. I really wish I could remember her name, but you know, I would just watch her because I was in bed. I couldn't do anything else. I was like laying flat. And so that was in December 2021. I made some New Year's resolutions in the beginning of 2022 so one of them was to start a YouTube channel, so I did. So that's nice. We're going to be coming up to New Year's again, and I always like to reflect on my resolutions and which ones I followed through on and which ones I didn't. So I started my YouTube channel. One of the other resolutions was that I wanted to really work hard on stress relief. I wanted to work harder on just simple things like getting enough exercise and eating right and sleeping well and making sure that I was really doing all the self-care things that I needed to do. And so diamond painting is one of those self-care things because it really brings me calm and reduces my anxiety like no other craft I've ever done. Ooh, that just shot out of my pen. Like no other craft ever has. And I don't always know how to explain it, but there is just something very soothing about it. I do think sometimes like the repetitive motion just really helps for me to kind of calm down sometimes. Like when I talked about this in my other video, I tend to get like overstimulated by things, especially stressful things. If there's too much noise going on, I get like overstimulated. If there's just too many things going on, I get overstimulated. And so the repetitive nature of this kind of helps me to like be grounded and just calm down sometimes. And so I really have just been focusing on really using diamond painting as not just a creative outlet, but part of my self-care routine and using it to tackle anxiety. And I would much rather do this than take a medication, you know. Not that medication is bad, and I do take medications for certain things, but I guess what I'm saying is rather than having to take like an emergency anxiety med, I would rather work on a diamond painting, settle down, prevent a panic attack that way. It totally gets me out of my head if I'm like starting to kind of spiral and think about, you know, all of the bad things that could happen. I tend to borrow trouble. So I tend to worry about things that haven't even happened yet. That's like one of my toxic traits, I guess. Just worry about things that haven't even happened yet. And so diamond painting has really helped me with that. And it's really helped me cope with this whole pseudotumor intracranial hypertension thing. It's been hard to deal with. The symptoms of that have been better. I do have to take a medication for it, and I am continuing to exercise and eat right. One of the things that can help with it is to lose weight, like even 10% of your body weight, I guess, can help. And so you know, that's part of it. But I notice that when I get stressed out, when I get overstimulated, my symptoms can kind of creep up a little bit, as far as like the weird sensation in my head, the weird sensation in my eyes, feeling dizzy. I don't get the typical symptoms that other people get with this disorder. I hear a lot of people talk who have the same thing. They talk about getting headaches and being nauseous. I don't really get that. Maybe sometimes I get headaches, but it is not the main like feature of my condition. My main thing is just this really disturbing sensation in my head, and just a sense of imbalance. And when it was really bad before it was diagnosed, I did have trouble with coordination. I had trouble walking. I couldn't walk and turn my head at the same time. I never really fell down or anything like that, but I felt really imbalanced. And the other thing is, like, I would get vertigo if I felt stressed out. And so, for example, I'll never forget one time we were walking our dogs in like the state park, and our dog Scout, she's a German short hair pointer, she's kind of crazy. She's like a mountain goat. She loves to climb and jump and all this stuff. We were walking, and my husband let her go so that she could run after a toy that he had thrown for her. And I don't know why she did it, but she jumped off of the cliff that we were walking next to, and I just about passed out. I mean, the vertigo like hit me so hard, I thought I was going to faint because I just watched my dog jump over a cliff. Now, she was perfectly fine. When I say cliff, it wasn't that tall. It was maybe like 8 feet in the air, but still insane that she did it. And she could have been hurt. And it freaked me out. And so, like, stress really physically affects me. And it's something that I need to be careful of. It's something that I need to take care of, because it just physically affects me so bad. My heart will start to beat, and I feel like I'm going to pass out sometimes. And, like, there was another time where I won't tell the full story because it's so embarrassing. But one time we were doing a kayak trip, and I got really scared because of something that happened, which was irrational. I did not need to be that scared, but I got scared, and my arms stopped working, and I was shaking, and I couldn't paddle my kayak because I was like just paralyzed with fear. So stress really affects me physically. And so I really, over the past 2 years, have been taking it a lot more seriously, just regarding my mental health and how stress affects me physically. And diamond painting has really, really helped me with that stuff. And I'm grateful for that. I've seen a lot of people that do like coloring, like the adult coloring books they do for stress relief and anxiety. And I would like to get into that too, because I'm really interested to learn how to color. Like, some of these people do the coloring books and they look so amazing. I'm not that skilled to make them look that great, but they look really great. And I think I really understand now the value of art and creativity in our mental health now. Art therapy is definitely important. And I love diamond painting because it is, while there's a cost to it, I do think it is very accessible for people. There are so many different sites where you can get different kits. There's so many different styles. There's so many different price ranges. It is mostly accessible for people. And, people of all ages enjoy it. I see younger people doing it. I see kids doing it. I see older people doing it. It's something that I wish that I could have gotten my Nan into. I think she would have enjoyed it. At this point in time, it's not something that she would be able to do, but I think a few years ago it would have been good for her to do. So, I've done like all this research because I'm very curious. I always look things up because I'm very curious to know why a lot of the time. And so I did a lot of research, just why is diamond painting, why is art good for mental health, why, all these different things. And there's all these different studies about like art therapy. It boosts your confidence. It helps you deal with your emotions and regulate your emotions more. It makes you a little bit more resilient. It makes you a little bit more sturdy to stressful events in your life. And it's really amazing. And that's not just exclusive to diamond painting, of course. It's any type of art, any type of craft project that you might be working on. So whether it's knitting or coloring or making things with clay or making beaded jewelry, any of that stuff, it's all self-care. And so, yes, this is a hobby. Yes, it's something that I spend money on, but I look at it as being just as important as taking my medicine. It's just as important as going to the doctor. It's just as important as getting enough sleep at night. It's part of my self-care routine. And so the money and time that I put into it is actually money and time that I'm putting into myself, and that's worth it. And I finally just feel like I really connect with something in such a deep way that it has changed my life. And I am really grateful to diamond painting for that. I don't feel like, while I have always loved crafting, I don't feel like any certain craft has really resonated with me as much as diamond painting. And I don't know if that sounds crazy or if it makes sense to anybody else, but it makes sense to me. I guess that's all that matters, right? It is like, I guess it's the first craft that has really, really brought like true like calmness to me. And I just feel like it really helps me. I feel a sense of pride when I finish a project, and the only thing about it is that I don't really have anybody in my real life that also likes to do it. And so that is kind of a bummer. It's so funny because I was watching Rachel Ray on Twitch do her diamond painting. Actually, she might have been doing a cross stitch stream. It was either diamond painting or cross stitch. And she was talking about how like she just often does not explain her hobbies to people because they don't understand. And they're just like, oh, I could never do that because I just, whatever. And I feel that way too. Like sometimes I feel like I can't explain it to people because they just wouldn't understand. Like, oh, you sit there and glue diamonds to a piece of paper? Great. No, it's so much more. Let me explain it to you. And then, I don't know. I just feel like people don't get it, maybe. so that's the backstory on why I love diamond painting so much. It has really helped me cope with this weird, it's helped me cope with my anxiety, which I've had all my life. I mean, I think I was an anxious kid too. Actually, my mom came to visit recently, and I was talking to her about anxiety, and she's like, looking back, I wish that that your dad and I would have realized more just how anxious you were as a child, because it kind of makes more sense now, like why you did certain things that you did, or the way you acted when you were a kid. It was out of anxiety. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. She's like, we just didn't realize back then just how anxious you were. And I was like, yeah, well, I didn't. And see, the thing is that I didn't either. I don't think I realized exactly how anxious I was until my mid-30s, maybe. And now I just have so much perspective and insight on it that, you know, and what do they say? Hindsight is 20/20, right? Like, I can look back and I can see, like, yeah, I was white knuckling through, like, basically all my teenage years and my 20s, just not knowing that I had an anxiety problem, not knowing how to handle it, not knowing that I could do things to try to help control it. I didn't know. I just did not know. And I can tend to be a person that is very resistant to help. I like to do things on my own. I don't need anybody else type of thing. And so, you know, my parents got divorced when I was like 17 or 18. My mom tried to get me to go to a counselor to talk about it. And I was like, no, you know, when you're 17 or 18, you think you're invincible and you don't need help, that type of thing, you know? And so, but I just have always kind of been that way, and I, to some extent, still am that way, where it's like, no, I'll deal with this on my own, which is not a great quality to have all the time. Sometimes you need to ask for help. So yeah, so like through my teen years and my 20s, I was pretty oblivious to the fact that I was just a nervous wreck, and I made a lot of bad choices out of anxiety, and just a lot of, you know, a lot of bad choices. Let's just put it that way, out of anxiety. And, you know, I hit my mid-30s. I did go to treatment at one point for an eating disorder. And then in my mid-30s, I really had things under control. And then 2020 hit and things kind of unraveled. But I'm back under control now. And that is just part of life, I think, is just those ups and downs. And it's never going to be perfect. You know, you're going to veer off at some point. And then you get back on track and you can see all the progress you've made, and you're like, wow, I did that. That's great. I'm a big believer in, you know, everything that ever happens to you leads to this moment right here. And so you have to go through the bad stuff to get to the good stuff. And so while I've been through bad things and met bad people and had bad things happen to me and maybe I've done bad things, all of those bad things lead to where you are now and who you are now. And I love my life. It's not perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. You know, next week I have to go have a biopsy because I had something weird turn up on imaging. So, like, that's stressing me out a little bit. Life's never going to be perfect, but I'm really dealing with things much better now. I don't feel like it's the end of the world anymore. So thank you, diamond painting, for that. Thank you, diamond painting. Thank you, fresh air, exercise, cuddling with my dogs. all of those things that kind of help me through. So we're on letter N here. I have a little bit of dyslexia. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I have a little bit of dyslexia, and so sometimes I do put the wrong colors down on the wrong letter or number. It's usually numbers. I usually get numbers messed up in my head. I usually have problems with numbers, and sometimes like I can't do math in my head because of it. So if you ever see me putting the wrong drills down, that might be why. Or it might be that I'm not paying attention, you know, it's one of those things. I was a little bit delusional with this painting. I thought that I was going to be able to get this done over Thanksgiving break because I had the whole week off, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to spend hours every day doing this and I'm going to get it done. Yeah, that didn't happen. I had 10 million other things going on. And it's a big painting. I mean, you know. So. Didn't have a drill. This is going to go above my, well, hopefully, if I don't know. I won't say yet, but I wanted to try to get it done for Christmas. And I wanted to hang it over where my dog's beds are. It's like a little Christmas present for them. Not that they care. I don't think they care at all. But it'll be cute to hang over their bed area. And yeah. I'm also doing this one for, so I signed up for the Winter with DAC 2022 event. It is the first event I have ever participated in for diamond painting. So that's exciting. Previously I've been, I don't know what my problem is, but just too timid to join events. It kind of makes me nervous because I'm like, I'm not going to finish. And things like that. But this event appealed to me because you don't actually have to finish. It's just a fun event for everybody to work together on DAC paintings. There's no stress involved. So I was like, this is perfect for my first event. So I signed up for it. So yeah, so I'm doing this picture for that. And I've got a long way to go. I'm looking at the rest of it that's rolled up. But there's a lot of color blocking in the sky and the moon. I'll put a picture of what it actually looks like in here so that you can see since we're so zoomed in. But there's a lot of color blocking coming up, so maybe we'll be okay. I think that's all the end. Nope, there's one there. So it's Saturday morning for me. My husband is out hunting right now. So I just wanted to do a little bit of diamond painting and talk about why diamond painting is so important to me and why I diamond paint. And after I do this, I'm actually going to mess around with setting up my live stream setup because I want to do a live stream, which I'm nervous about because I am kind of shy and nervous. But I want to do a live stream. I want to work on that. I just don't know like when I would do it because I don't want to go live when other people already have their live streams planned. You know, I don't want to, like, not that people would choose to watch mine over somebody else's because I'm just a small channel, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to be rude. Because this is such a nice community and I know people have like their set times that they go live and stuff like that. So I need to sort that out. But I think what I'll do is I'm going to set up my camera and my microphone and all that stuff and just do like a private stream to test it and see how it goes. And then I just want to make sure that it's set up so that when I do go live, I won't have any technical issues. But it sounds really fun. These drills are staticky. They're just sticking everywhere. I'm going to maybe make some more release papers. I want to try to make a pattern for my next painting, which I don't know which one to do next now. So I have another winter painting that is a DAC that has a snowman with, it's called Forest Friends, I think. And it has a snowman with little woodland creatures all around. But I'm kind of sick of working on winter stuff now, that I might start working on the elk picture that I bought for my husband. I might start working on that next. The one called Braveheart, which is also a DAC. There's nothing wrong with kitting up both, though, and working on them together, I suppose. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll have two going at once. Oh, I messed that up. I don't think I'm ever going to be a perfect placer. It's just not in the cards for me. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Not for me, anyway. Let's put a couple more on here and then we'll wrap it up, because I am going to go and start working on my live stream setup, making sure that works. I bought a snowball microphone for that purpose, and I think instead of my phone, I think for that I'm going to use my webcam, because I was playing with it and I found out how to use it to zoom in and how to adjust the picture quality. So I'm hoping that will work for streaming. If not, I'm going to return it to Amazon. But I think it will work. I was messing with it and I found where like the settings are to make to like have it zoom in and adjust like the white balance and all that. So that will be good. So I need to get that set up, and I have my OBS set up for live streaming and all that good stuff. So that'll be coming up soon. So alrighty, well, I'll end it here. I hope you have enjoyed this WIP and chat. Thank you so much for watching. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe if you have not already. It really helps my channel. I am really enjoying doing the YouTube channel. I love to share all of this stuff regarding diamond painting with everybody, and I also feel like if my story about having intracranial hypertension might help somebody, that's a great thing. Obviously, like I said at the beginning, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professional when it comes to this disorder or anything, but this is my personal story, and it took almost a year to get diagnosed with it, and so because I didn't have typical symptoms, and so I'm hoping that maybe sharing what happened to me would help somebody else that maybe is going through the same thing, because I did so much research to try to find out what was going on with me, and it didn't really fit into a perfect little box. I could not find a description of like the symptoms that I was having that fit you know, exactly what was going on with me. So it took a while to get diagnosed, but the point of this whole video is just that diamond painting is something that really helped get me through that and is continuing to help get me through difficult situations. It's something that is helping me to take care of myself and to deal with my anxiety and stress. And so I'm just so grateful to have found it. I'm so grateful to have found a nice community online. Everybody has been so nice, and like just it's so nice to hear from people who also like to diamond paint, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.